what we need to do is we take the output voltage, compare it with the reference, and then get the error signal, and based on the error signal we generate a duty cycle. So this way is called unity feedback because we are not applying any gain to the error. We are just giving the error directly to the triangular wave. So the error is compared with the triangular wave, and depending upon the error signal, when the error is higher than the triangular wave, op-amp gives us a pulse like this. So this is the PWM signal that is generated by the frequency modulator, and then this signal is given to the control switch. So basically this signal contains duty cycle. So therefore when the error signal is varying, error signal is higher, duty cycle is going to be increased, so that the output voltage becomes high, close to the reference, and error signal should be less. So when error signal is less, that means the duty cycle should be smaller. Okay? So in this way, we are generating the unity feedback system. Similarly, we can provide a gain after the error. We can provide a PID control that provides some gain to the error signal, and the purpose of this PID is to reduce the error as soon as possible, and then output of the PID gain, which is called VC, control voltage, that is now compared with the triangular wave, again in a similar manner, to generate the PWM signal. So in previous unity feedback, we just give the error, compare the error signal with the triangular wave to generate PWM signal. But in case of PID, we basically use control voltage to generate, to compare it with the triangular wave, and then PWM signal is generated. And then this PWM generated signal is given to the power stage. Okay? So let me first show you the process in MATLAB, and then we move on to the requirement of control system. So this is basically MATLAB Simulink, where we can develop the power circuit. So for this, to develop the power circuit, we should have a power GUI block. This block is not connected to anywhere, but it is essential because it contains definition for all the power blocks. So therefore, this block must be inserted so that simulation runs successfully. Then from the library of Simulink, we can find all the required components So this is the library, and in this we will go to Simscape, power system, and in this we have specialized technology, fundamental blocks. So in fundamental block, you can find the power GUI, and then you can find the electrical sources, different load components, interfaces, machines, measurement, and in power electronics, you can find the thyristor, diode, IGBT, MOSFET, all these components. Okay, so just you need to copy paste or drag the components to the Simulink block, and then you can design the circuit. ठीक है जी. Okay. So in IGBT block, there are collector, emitter, gate, and measurement ports. So gate port requires pulses, which is basically the PWM signal. Right. So you can see this is the PWM signal that is given to the IGBT, and the duty cycle may not be constant. Somewhere it is different. When we apply a control signal, the duty cycle is not fixed. Okay. So when we run it in open loop, we need a pulse generator, and this pulse generator has a fixed. So we provide period, the pulse width, its amplitude to the gate terminal, and then the IGBT starts working. So in this case, we have taken the same parameters. Input voltage is 29 volts, output voltage is 16.2 volts, and we take this closed loop system to make it run. So this is the reference voltage 16.2. Compare it with the output voltage. By the way, you have to be careful when dealing with the power circuit and the information circuit. Okay. So for information, to process the feedback, you need information data line. Okay. And for that you need this measurement blocks, because that measurement block gives us the data in terms of information. Okay. you cannot connect the, let me show you. If we try to connect the logical or the information components with the power lines where current flows, we cannot connect it. Okay, so this is measurement block, which is incorrect. So power line, which is basically the current line. From that current line, you need to include the measurement blocks so that you can take the information, you can plot the data, current, voltage, and use the feedback. For that purpose, you need measurement blocks, current measurement block and voltage measurement block. So we take the output voltage measurement and use a summer to take the difference between reference point and output voltage. Then we use a transfer function, which is basically modified PID. How we get that, we'll discuss in a while, and compare the output of the controller, compare it with the triangular waveform, and this is how we have triangular waveform. Also has the frequency component, because in our case frequency we have fixed as 50 kilohertz. So we give the time information and output values. So we use inverted triangular wave. First is the maximum, then minimum, and then maximum. So that the PWM signal is in the same line of error logic. Means if we want error to be reduced, then duty cycle should be increased. Okay, so if we increase the if we change the triangular wave in from minimum to maximum, then the logic will be inverted. Okay, so we have three parameters, three values for the time. One is the minimum time, which is time 0. Then we have half of the period, half of 50 kilohertz, and then we have the 1 by 50 kilohertz. And the output values with respect to the time, at 0 we have 1, at half of the cycle we have 0, and at the end of cycle we have again 1. And this sequence repeats again and again, and it is compared by the error signal, the control voltage that is generated by the PID controller or a control output. So PWM I have already showed you based on the error and the PWM and the triangular wave. So now let's look at the output voltage, whether the output voltage is stable or not. So there are ripples in the voltage, and similarly the ripple in the voltage, but the average value is close to the reference value, which is 16.2. That means our controller is working perfectly fine. We are close to the reference parameters for voltage and current. Although current ripple is little larger, but it's okay because it is also around the desired current, which is 8.1 amperes. Okay, so let's now use the MATLAB to find out the controller, how we design the controller. So for this, we have to design a controller. Inside that, the closed loop transfer, the closed loop Bode plot becomes like this blue line. So this red line indicates the power stage transfer function. You know that we have constant, because in power stage Bode plot we had a constant line, and this constant line is not good for us, because at low frequency gain must be high for better dynamic performance. Okay, so if we don't have a Bode plot like the blue line, then our controller will not have a better dynamic performance. So we try that at low frequency we get high gain. And how we get that? By applying an integrator at the origin. Hole at the origin is called integrator. So what integrator does is it gives a high gain to the magnitude plot, but integrator gives a 90-degree reduction in the phase plot. That means if our Bode plot was close to 180 degree, yeah. So this is our Bode plot for the power stage. So what we do is we apply a integrator so that we get the high gain. So let's first discuss the design requirement, and then we use MATLAB to implement how we are going to get the loop gain looks like equivalent to the blue line, which is the desired as far as performance is concerned. So first step, I repeat, at low frequency gain must be high. It gives us better dynamic performance. Dynamic performance means if there is some change in the, let's say, reference voltage, we first wanted to have our system settled at 16 volts, and after some time we want this reference to change to another point. And if system output voltage reaches to the next reference voltage in a very short period of time and with better accuracy, that means our controller has better dynamic performance. Second requirement is slope at the crossover frequency must be minus 20 dB. That means slope must be decreasing, going down, and it should cross the zero crossing 0 dB line when with the slope minus 20 dB. That indicates system will be stable. If the crossover frequency, if the slope of the loop gain is higher, that means system is going to stable very fast, but uh, due to the high rate of change, it will go into unstable mode very quickly. So therefore, slope should be minus 20 dB per decade, and that would indicate that our system is stable. If we want our system to respond faster to all the transients and get into steady state in a very short period of time, then the system bandwidth should be very large. That means the point where loop gain crosses the 0 dB line should be at very high frequency. The crossover frequency should be high enough, and inverse of that is going to be settling time, that indicates faster response of the system. And after crossing the 0 dB line, the loop gain should be even steeper. The slope should be larger, at least minus 20 dB, and even better if it is higher. If it is minus 40 dB or even higher, that would indicate that our system is robust because it is nullifying high frequency noises. And then finally, the phase margin should be high enough, close to 90 degree or higher than 60 degree would indicate smaller overshoots and oscillations. So these are the requirements. If we can meet, if our controller can meet these requirements, then we can design a robust controller. So let me show you the pictures. First for the PID control, and then for the for modification, so that we have finally the loop gain is similar to the blue line. Okay. So basically, what is PID controller? PID controller is simple gain plus integrator with some gain plus with the derivator with some gain. So if we combine all three components, then we end up with a controller like this, in which we have two zeros and one integrator. So similarly, we apply integrator and two zeros to get the PID control and the loop gain. So first we multiply a DC gain. It does not change the phase plot, but okay. So first we added a integrator, and you can see that the loop gain, the Bode plot is now with high gain at low frequency instead of the constant gain. But due to integrator, the phase margin becomes poor because our phase plot is cross 180 degree, minus 180 degree barrier. So system becomes unstable. We add some DC gain to pull up the magnitude plot, but the phase margin and the phase plot remains at the same point. There is no change in phase plot. So now we place a 0 before the resonance frequency that adds 90 degree to the phase plot, and then we again add another 0, and this is how the loop gain looks like after implementing PID. So if we compare it with the loop gain, desired loop gain, which was following the blue line, so everything is okay, but there is a difference at the high frequency. We wanted that at high frequency, the Bode plot should go down with higher slope, but due to the system 0, it is stable at the high frequency. So let's now look at the system performance if we use only PID control. So first I'll just show you, and afterwards I'll tell you how we can design that in MATLAB. So let's look at the performance of PID controller. So you can see the ripple, they are higher than the previous control system. Although it stabilizes around 16.2 volts, but the ripple sometimes goes to 1 volt, and sometimes it is maximum around 3 volts. And current is its ripple is around 6 amperes, and stable value is around 8 amperes. So to find out whether PID control is robust, let's change the input voltage from 29 to 50 volts and see if our system, our PID controller can stabilize the output voltage. So you can see it stabilizes, but the ripples, they get even bigger, almost 10 volts ripple. Let's increase a little more. So let's say 100 volts. So in this, you can see the voltage ripple is even worse. Current ripple is even worse. It is around more than 10 amperes, although it's still stable, but the ripple is even higher. And let's compare it with the modified controller. Even with 100 volts, the ripple is smaller and the response is much better. So how we develop this modified PID? We have added one more pole at higher frequency. So the problem is this high frequency is 0. So therefore, to reduce the effect of this high frequency 0, we have added another pole, and by adding this additional pole, the loop gain is now what we wanted with a very good slope. And you can see phase margin is very good, 70 degrees. Gain margin is infinity, which is even better. And therefore the performance is much better, very good. So now how to implement that PID control in Proteus. So basically what we have done in control system, we have applied one integrator, 2 zeros and 2 poles. So for this configuration, we can use op-amp with this R's and C's configuration, so that we have 2 poles, 2 zeros and 1 integrator. And we need to find out the values of R's and C's according to the places we have placed the zeros and poles. Okay. So from literature we can find out the equivalent, the exact controller diagram, controller circuit that can give us the integrator, 2 zeros and 2 poles, and we just need to find out the values of R's and C's. So how we are going to do that? We have input impedance like this, feedback impedance like this, and therefore the control output and the output voltage transfer function would be like this. We have integrator along with its frequency, its gain. Then we have 2 zeros and 2 poles. So these frequency of poles and zeros, they correspond to the certain R's and C's. and we need to find out the values. Before going to that, we can see in formulas we have a combination of resistors and capacitors, which makes the calculation a little bit complicated because uh, omega z1 depends on R and C, omega z depends on C2, R1 and R3. So the more parameters that create one frequency makes the system complicated. So we, for ourselves, we decide that the values what we are going to choose for capacitors and resistors are with this assumption, with this uh, logic that C1 must be very large compared to C3 and R1 must be very large compared to R3. So if we choose values in this way, then because R1 is very large than R3, we can neglect R3 and we can choose the frequency of second zero only with respect to R1 C2. Similarly, for for integrator frequency, integrator gain, if C1 is very large than C3, then C3 can be neglected and omega integrator only depends on R1 and C1. If C1 is very large, then C3 can be neglected and C1 cancel out with C1. So omega P2 can be controlled by R2 and C3. So if we select the values in this logic, uh, the selection of component values would become very simple. So these are the design steps. I'll skip that because I'll just share the slides with you so that you can study it in detail. So we have one integrator, pole at 0, two poles, two zeros near the resonance frequency, and two poles at higher frequency. One pole required uh, to minimize the effect of 0, and second pole is required to increase the robustness and reduce the switching losses. So so final step is basically to find the values of R's and C's. Let me, it's basically another file. Let me find that out. there. So we have modified PID controller, and in modification we have basically increased 2 poles, because PID control only includes 2 zeros and 1 integrator. So we have included 2 further poles to make the controller robust. So what we have done is we have decided to select the values of capacitors C1 and C3 in such a way that C1 should be large enough compared to C3, and R1 should be large enough compared to R3. And then what we will do is we will just fix the value of C1 and find out that for a particular frequency how what value should be for the R2. Similarly, for omega Z2, we will fix the value of C2 and find out the value of R1. So similarly for omega I, we have C1 fixed, find out the value of R1, which is we have already found. So we can use this R1 value to get whether the same R1 can be sorry, R1 value of R1 we already found out from omega Z2. Value of C1 we can calculate, and then unknown value is R3. C2 is already find out, so we can find the value of R3. And finally, we can find out the value of C3, because R2 value is already found out. So in this case, we have fixed omega I equal to 1000, omega Z1 is equal to 7692, omega Z2 is 2083, omega P1 is 5.6 e raised to the power 5 at very high frequency, and omega P2 is 2.1 e raised to the power 5, little lower than omega P1, but it is closer to the ESR 0. So we put all these values in again in MATLAB, and then we get the values of R's and C's. So we get the values of R's and C's, and then we put these values in the circuit, keeping in mind that C1 must be very large as compared to C3, because we have modified the formula, and R1 must be larger than R3. So we can see from here C1 is 1 microfarad and C3 is 3.66, or almost in nanofarad. C3 is 36 nanofarad. C2 is irrespective of this, but it is also very small value, almost I think 0.48 microfarad. or 480 nanofarad. Then comes the values of R's and R's. R1 is 1K, R2 is 130, R3 is 3.7 ohms. So this is how we get the values of R's and C's from from using the transfer function, Bode plot, and then including the pole and zero placement. So finally is the final is going to be the implementation on the Proteus. So let me open the Proteus and show you the PID control, modified PID control and how it works in hardware or in Proteus. Okay, so finally we have this implementation. So in here, let's look at the circuit. So we have Q1 BJT as a control switch. Then we have D1 as the diode, inductor L1, and the values are the same as we have put in the simulation. Then we have capacitor, and then we have load. So how we are going to feedback? So to feedback, we will be using high resistances ratio, so that because the output voltage is around 16 volts, so therefore and the TL494 IC that we are going to use, its voltage is around 5 volt. So we want in between 5 volt, because the output voltage could go higher than 16 volts. So therefore we should have some space for that. So therefore the voltage divider we will be setting around 1.5 volt, I guess. Let's see how much is the set voltage. Set voltage is around 2.5. So 2.5 means the output voltage is going to be 16 volts. So let's see at the output side. We have around 17.5, little higher voltage, but the current is close to 8.2 amperes. Let's look at the voltage, how much voltage we have set. The voltage is 50 volts. So our initial voltage is 29. So we start from 29. So still you can see the voltage is stable around 17.5. We can reduce the ratio a little bit, and by this we can adjust it equal to the 16.2 as we wanted, but that doesn't matter at all. So our main focus is to find out whether our control system is working or not. So we are okay. So you can see from the datasheet of TL494, we can find out how these R's and C's that we have already find out where we should connect them. So you can find out that in error amplifier section, the value of RS indicates input impedance, and value of R7 is going to be replaced by the feedback impedance. So on the pin 2 of TL494, we are going to put R1, R3 and C2, and in the pin 2 to 3, we are going to put C1, C3 and R2. Okay. So let's look at the values and their placement. So 1 kilo ohm resistance is connected between two and the set voltage, where we are setting the reference voltage for TL494. So we can see that yes, R1, it should be on pin 2 and the reference voltage. So R1 is 1K and R3 is 3.7 and C2 is 4.8 e raised to the power minus 7. So here you can see 1K is connected to pin 2 and the reference V reference. Similarly, 3.7 ohm resistance is connected and 480 nanofarad capacitance is also connected with the in series with the 3.7 ohm. And for second side between 3 and 2, we have capacitance 36.6 nanofarad, which is basically C3. C3 in parallel with C3 we have R2 and C1. R2 is 130 and C1 is 1 microfarad. So we have in between R2, terminal 2 and the terminal 3, we have 36.6 nanofarad capacitance, resistance 130 ohm, and capacitance 1 microfarad. Okay? So this is how we are going to implement this modified PID control, which has one integrator, 2 zeros, and 2 poles. And let's look at the performance of the circuit. So we have very small ripple. System is stabilized around 17.7. We can reduce and set the reference voltage a little lower. And the current is around 8.34 amperes. So this is how the feedback modeling and control of the buck converter is concerned. ठीक है जी, any questions?
सर पीआईडी कंट्रोल का टॉपिक हम लेक्चर्स में भी कवर करेंगे अब, या फिर यही सिर्फ अभी हमने कवर करना था?
लेक्चर में नहीं कवर करेंगे, बिकॉज कंट्रोल सिस्टम का जो पूरा टॉपिक पूरा कोर्स है वो आप अभी पढ़ रहे हैं, राइट?
यस सर।
तो यहाँ पे सिर्फ उसका जो रेलिवेंस था हमारे मॉडलिंग और कंट्रोल के साथ, और हमने उसको किस तरीके से हार्डवेयर पे इम्प्लीमेंट करना है, यानी प्रोटियस के ऊपर किस तरह से इम्प्लीमेंट करना है, सो हमने सिर्फ उसको फोकस किया।
राइट सर। सर उसके अलावा सर ये, क्योंकि आज का लेक्चर सर काफ़ी बड़ा हुआ है सर, तो और बीच में काफ़ी चीज़ें मिस भी हुई हैं, तो सर मेरे भी और बाकी स्टूडेंट्स पे भी सर अगर कोई क्वेश्चन वगैरह हो तो सर आपसे बाद में पूछ लें बेशक।
बिल्कुल, हम यूँ करेंगे ना कि नेक्स्ट लैब भी आई थिंक सर अजमत अगर हैं तो बता सकते हैं कि नेक्स्ट लैब जो है वो आपने ये इसको इम्प्लीमेंट करके और फिर आई थिंक शो करना है। लास्ट टाइम तो ऐसी, तो उससे फिर ये कि जो भी आपके क्वेश्चन अराइज होंगे वो हम साथ साथ आपको हेल्प आउट करते जाएंगे कि उसको किस तरीके से आपने इम्प्लीमेंट करना है या उसका प्रॉब्लम का सलूशन फिर कैसे फाइंड करना।
राइट सर।
ठीक है जी। सो वैसे भी ये रिकॉर्डेड लेक्चर है, सो इसमें इसको आप रिप्ले कर सकते हैं जब आप इम्प्लीमेंट कर रहे होंगे। तो उसके अलावा भी फिर जो क्वेश्चन होंगे वो फिर हम नेक्स्ट लैब के अंदर उनको टारगेट कर लेंगे। ठीक है जी,
राइट सर।
चलो नो फर्दर क्वेश्चन तो फिर हम यहाँ पे स्टॉप करें।